Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we'll be discussing what exactly makes a good player good and how lower level players can incorporate some of those assets into their own game. For the record, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal here. This video mostly comes from watching or playing with good players that have taught me something. Common traits. In my experience, the common traits that good players have in any game is first and foremost a solid fundamental understanding of the game and its rules. That sounds banal, right? Thanks, Captain Obvious. But with a game like Overwatch, there is so much detail in how everything interacts that it can be difficult to keep track of them all. Example, say you're a support main and you're particularly strong with Zen. He's your best hero, so you pick him on both sides, attacker and defense. You spend your time constantly putting your orbs out trying to get as much value as you can, but you find that in your games, despite you getting value and some frags to boot, your attack phases stall out more often than you'd like. Now there could be many explanations for why that could happen. You could have the dreaded Hanzo Junkrat combo on your team, but one thing I've noticed about good players is that they have a level of self-analysis that lower tier players don't. And that happens mid-game, mid-round, or even when they're winning. A good player might look at the situation and think, perhaps Lucio is more important for this comp, perhaps the speed boost will help us more than Discord, perhaps we need to fight where our enemy doesn't want to, directly on the point as a big group and overwhelm them. Even if their Lucio isn't as good as their Zen, they're thinking about the game from a base level of understanding. They're playing Overwatch the game and not simply their favorite hero. Knowledge informs everything. Because of that knowledge, good players are capable of making more good decisions than other players. Notice, I haven't even mentioned mechanics or aim yet. I'm just talking about a gap in understanding that separates players. One example is how good players understand the concept of meta heroes and how they fit together. Ana is very strong right now, so is Reaper, and Rein has been elevated because of Ana's prominence. Good players know this, and not only know the concepts of why Nano is so good, but how to best deal with it. They might pick Winston or Tracer, or both, to pressure an enemy Ana and win the Nano battle. Winston, for example, has excellent crowd control with his ultimate. If the enemy Rein is charging with Nano, knocking him around so he's out of the fight, mitigating its effectiveness, is a big play. Or, as your team's Ana, you could watch your own ultimate's progress and make an educated guess as to when the enemy has theirs, saving your sleep dart for a crucial moment. Without this knowledge, players allow themselves to have plays made on them instead of the other way around. At higher levels, stuff doesn't just happen, plays are made. The synergy isn't accidental. Even in solo queue, at masters level and beyond, people who don't know each other combine effectively more often. That's all knowledge based. If you want to be good, actually learning the fundamentals is essential. Understanding their own talents. Okay, this is where I will talk about mechanics. Good players come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are gods of mechanical skill, like your top tier McCrees. Other are more game sense based. Flex players are a great example of that. But all of them are honest with themselves. If you play DPS all the time and either don't understand or mechanically can't fulfill the DPS burden, then you probably shouldn't be playing it. But like I said before, if you don't have the baseline self-analysis, you probably don't know that anyway. A good player is not stubborn. For example, if you're a good McCree but your team is getting walked over by a tank heavy setup, a good player might realize we need a tank buster and switch to Reaper. But a lower tier player might be stubborn and think to themselves, that's someone else's problem. It isn't, it's yours. You picked the carry role, so carry. Make this Winston regret ever diving your supports. Delete this Roadhog hooking your second DPS every team fight. And yes, Nano Death Blossom all the things because it's not overpowered at all. Pride and ego can make mechanically good players a detriment to your team. I've actually lost count of the number of Genji mains that have refused to change, despite me using Winston against them and removing them from play before they can even swift strike a healer. You know the difference between a good Hanzo and a bad one? The good one isn't a Hanzo unless A, he can hit the shots, and B, he knows when not to be a Hanzo. They know when it isn't working or isn't advisable, like ironically on defense, where his big impact frags have less value because of respawn advantage. Mechanics are a beginning, not a final state of excellence. If you don't know how and when to apply them, or are stubborn in the face of being countered, you will lose. It's that simple. Good players accept this and are dexterous in their approach to the game, even in mechanically demanding roles like DPS. Recognizing opportunity. Recently on stream, I have had the pleasure of playing with some genuinely very good players, and something struck me about why we were winning so easily and consistently. It was the inspiration for this entire video, in fact. Now that I've set up the other reasons, it's time to focus on perhaps the most subtle but vital gap between why they're good and others not quite yet. Knowledge combined with mechanical proficiency provide the ability to first recognize opportunities, and then secondly the methods to exploit them. But here's the important part. Because they all have these traits, when playing together they developed synergy and played off each other's actions, making them not just good isolated plays, but a cohesive flow of cascading plays one after the other, mostly without communication. That is the true gap between a good player and the rest of us. They know what to do and when, and have the skill to pull it off. They can recognize when a teammate is making a play and dovetail with them effortlessly. Example, I was playing Reaper and we were defending the top left stairs on Hanamura. I saw an opportunity and went in. My Ana sees this, knowing I have ultimate, and times his nano on me to perfection. I then Death Blossom literally everything. I didn't call it, I didn't have to, he just knew. A good player reads the game as if from an overhead view. They can see the full context of the battle and aren't simply going through the motions of their individual play, but are looking for opportunities and openings to make plays not just for themselves, but with teammates as well. Jokingly, some might say, you can't teach that, but that's lazy. You can. The truth is, most of what makes a good player comes down to knowledge, as that's the well that every good play, every good decision springs from. So ask yourself, do you look at the game in this way? Are you capable of the self-analysis required? And are you capable to put your ego to one side for the good of the team? If not, then you should have a better idea of why the gap between you and the players you idolize exists. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like. If you want us to cover anything in specific, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. Also, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and streams. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time,